Good morning, guys. We have a little bit of a cold front here in Florida. It was like 60 this morning, but don't worry, it'll get back up to about 80 in a couple hours. But anyway, so like I said, previous video, we're kind of sticking on Volkswagen here, just to kind of button up some stuff to make it better, right? So I've got the bumpers down from up above. So these bumpers are pretty beat up. These little bumperettes have been welded on here. It's all kind of beat up there. Same on this side. And this little tube here is actually broken. So there's a piece, it doesn't go all the way. So we're going to follow the theme of welding, and we're just going to kind of weld this in place so it's not rattling. These little bumperettes up here are all kind of beat up, but you know what? That's kind of the charm of the whole Volkswagen. Over here, if you see them right there, those are the heater boxes. So I did get those off the other day after work. Getting up in there, I had to make a 13 millimeter wrench, open end wrench, a little smaller because you have very little room to get up in there to get the top exhaust bolts. But I got it one little at a time. And you spin the wrench, spin the wrench, and we got the J tubes installed. I did fire this up this morning just to make sure it didn't leak, the exhaust leak, and there is no exhaust leak, so we're good there. I got pretty fortunate as it did not have, let me show you here. So these are the little exhaust nuts that would normally be on there, right? So basically when you tighten them down, I don't want to say they cut new threads or anything, but at least on these ones, once you get partly down and you start tightening it, it gets tougher to tighten. And then this little crown part kind of, I don't want to say breaks, but just kind of, I don't know, it's an exhaust nut. And these ones are the ones that are supposed to be on it. And what were on it were just regular old nuts. So I got pretty fortunate that they just broke right free, no problems. So I didn't have any broken studs or anything like that. So that was good. But they're all together now. And those heater boxes, they do work. They have little flaps for it. I'm going to save them just because they just don't quite reach where I need them to go for the tubes that come out of the engine, which I explained before. So anyway. Oh, and we also got 2 new front tires for it. So those tires that were on it before, they were date coded 2014. So even though they were, they look brand new, they had little, the little things, the little nipple things hanging off them from, how they come new. They were still, 10 years old? Well, 11 years old, because it was February. The date code was February of 2014. After 10 years, they're real sketch. So anyway, so I got another set of front tires for it, and these tires match the rear tires. So meaning the size wise. So they had 185 60 15s in the front, and these are 205 65 15s. So now they match the rear as far as the size, if that makes sense. Because those back ones are Michelin's, and they're date coded 2016. So that's still well. Plus they look brand new, but they have flat spots, and they're really riding that edge of not being safe, meaning the date code. So probably in a couple weeks, I'll get a set of tires for the back to match the front. So I'll have all 4 the same on all 4 corners. Is basically what I'm trying to say. When they balanced out the fronts, they said they were a little wobbly. So I'm not quite sure. They said they got them balanced out, but they're a little wobbly, whatever that means. So I'm hoping it's not a little wobbly where they're unusable. If so, then maybe I'm looking at some more Steelies for it, or maybe get those adapters change that wide 5 to like a Chevy bolt pattern. It gives you a better availability of wheels for this things that aren't super expensive. And I'm really not opposed to doing that. But I'll get tires or rims for it that these tires can go on, if that makes sense. Okay, so let me put this away. So today we're just going to kind of work on these guys right here because I got to get these bumpers on there. I did get a timing light in that's not broke. So we may not set the timing, but the idle, because the idle is real low and it's supposed to be like around 900 RPMs, 900 to 1,000. And I think that's a lot of my oil pressure light coming on because the idle on this is like 600. It's really low. So when I bump that up, it'll bump up the oil pressure a little bit. So hopefully my light won't come on all the time. So that's kind of what we got going on today, amongst other things that I still have to take care of around the house, blah, blah, blah. But so let's get this. We're just going to sand these down with some 180. And then we're just going to paint them just the white. I think that'll look good up there. And yeah, we'll go from there. We'll smooth out these goober welds. It looks like someone did it with like a stick welder. And that's okay because you know what? They did what they did and it worked. It held them on there. So I don't judge anymore when I see certain things because it's like, you know what? They did what they could and it works. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say. So let's just jump into these bumpers here. Enough talking about it, and let's get into it a little bit and get these things painted so we can get these things on. And then another thing checked off the list. Yeah. All right, let's do this. So you kind of get the idea here. So all I'm doing is I'm just sanding this down with 180, basically just to get rid of the, the flaking paint, stuff like that, and give the paint something to stick to. So let me finish these bumpers. It's going to take me a minute to do this, and then we'll be back. All right, guys, we got them sanded down. The other one I put over there already, but this is the front bumper. And man, that's cool. Like this used to be white, but it was painted orange, obviously. And it kind of makes me, in hindsight, is like, oh, maybe I should sand down the bus to kind of match the bumpers because it's really cool. But that's probably not what I'm gonna do. So what I am gonna do is I'm gonna pull the truck out, and then I'm gonna put the bumpers over there, or maybe I'll do them here. And then I'm just going to throw some primer on them. I mean, I know we're kind of doing a quickie scuff and shoot with 180, but hey, we're high class here, right? So I'll probably just throw some red oxide primer on it, and then I'll paint them white. That way, over time, because I mean, let's be honest, this is maybe $150 paint job on this whole thing. With the rattle cans, over time, it's going to start fading. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. And what it's going to do, because I did not put any flat clear over this or anything. This is just right out of the can and on there. And over time, it's going to start patinaing. So it's going to do its own weathering thing. So if we get everything kind of like the same as time goes by, it'll all kind of patina the same, is what I'm thinking. I have not done the roof. Like I'm not going to do the roof either. Probably what I'll do is I'll just clean it all up, and then I'll put a coat of the sweet patina on the top of that just to kind of protect it. Maybe I'll do a coat of sweet patina on the whole thing. I mean, I don't know, why not? There's some spots that I have to sand on here that's a little dry. So when I was cleaning it with the So Fresh and So Clean, the rag would hit it and go and stop. I was like, all right, so maybe I'll just run 1500 over it just to kind of smooth it all out a little bit, and then do the Papa's patina or the sweet patina on it. I don't know, but that's not what we're doing today. So let me get these in primer real quick. That and that bumper, and then I do have to go get 2 cans of the heirloom white, which is what the white part is. Yeah, so because I don't have any more left. But that'll give that an opportunity to set up, and then we'll go from there. So cue the time lapse for the priming. All right, so let's be honest here. This primer is Bobo primer. It's, but I mean, the bumpers are pretty beat up, and I don't know what's worse, grinding down your own welds or grinding down someone else's welds. But basically, it's making them one color, right? So there's not any kind of like variations, and then the metal and all that stuff. So I got that primer down. I got to let that sit for a little bit. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get some heirloom white. Maybe 2 cans would do it. I don't know, but that's what I'm going to get. So I'm going to head on out and be right back. All right, guys, so that is a coat of primer, just basically to get it one color. And I ended up going through 3 cans of the heirloom white. So I waited probably about, I don't know, 10 minutes in between each coat. Just so the whole key is not to put it all on at once, because it may drip or run or whatever. And really, we're not trying to pass these off as restored bumpers. So what we're passing these off as, someone that took a little bit of time over the weekend, sanded them down, and painted them the same color as the top, which is basically what this entire build is about. Just a guy on the weekends uh, building something kind of cool. So anyway, all right, so we'll let that set up. I'm going to turn the fans on and kind of blow it just so it dries it up a little quicker, I guess. And then we'll go ahead and pop them on. Maybe today. It just depends on how much they tack up and how much they dry. You should really let this Rust-Oleum stuff sit at least 8 hours, just because it is what it is. But we'll see how it goes. So we'll be right back. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up today. Basically, today was just sanding down bumpers. You can't really see it back there, but sanding down the bumpers, getting them primed, and then getting them painted and put back on. So it looks really good. I'll take you and show you the back real quick. And yeah, let's walk through that. All right, guys. So there's the front. Yeah, it's got some dents right here and here. But I'm okay with that. Right there. And I pushed it as far back as I could get to get it real tight against the body. So there are little brackets back here that would hold those sides. So they were kind of bent. So I'll tell you, I just kind of cut them right off and then pushed it back. And then what I'll do is I'll weld these back in for more in the back there. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I know it sounded weird there for a minute, like, what's going on? And then and there's the back. Yep, you can see the welds that I smoothed out from previous, but that looks really good. There, and on both sides. And I did the same with this bumper. I pushed it as far forward as I could, just to kind of tuck it in. Ow, watch out for that table saw. Yeah, I think that looks great. All right, guys, not bad for a day. So we will continue tomorrow doing exactly what I'm not sure. Maybe get the clutch pedal and the brake pedal assembly in the correct orientation. While I was underneath there and did the rear bumper, it just looks like that the arms, I don't think the floor was put in wrong after all. I think the arms are just kind of shifted just a little. So if I can bring them back over, about a quarter of an inch, that's a lot considering these things are like 3/16 quarter-inch plate pedals that come down. We'll see what we can do. Either we'll break it or we'll fix it, right? And if we break it, we'll fix it. All right, guys. So we'll catch you in the morning. What up, guys? So this is not the next day. So what I did the next day was I just took a break from these projects over here, and I ended up putting the ceiling and a couple other things in the big bus. So we have a big bus, the schoolie, and then we have the micro bus. So I'll put in a quick little video right here of what I did. All right, guys, just a quickie. So I ended up getting all this in down this side, and then we put birch plywood there to make the bend, and then here is the same type of paneling as down the sides. Oh, and then I started putting the front panel back in, and that right there is pretty cool. So that's attached to some rope lights, but the switch here, it's wireless. So when I push the switch, the light all comes on. And when I push it, there it is, it's off. And then it goes all the way down to almost at the end, right there. So that's how much material I had for this birch, and then how much material I had left over for that. But yep. Oh, and these little guys right here. So I had to nail these into my crossbows right there. So these are those little magnet guys right there. Holds it up, looks good. And then of course these little twisty ties here. But this video isn't about the big bus, it's about the little bus. I just wanted to show you guys what I ended up doing. Back to the bus video. And that's what I did the following day on Sunday. So here we are after work. I did change out those J tubes underneath. I was going to work on the pedal assemblies to try to shift them over, but I think what I'm going to do is I am going to work on the heat shields underneath for where the J tubes are. So with the heater boxes in place, I still didn't have those heat shields, but I was kind of like, those are kind of helping direct the air out, so no big deal. But now that the J tubes are up in there, I need to put the heat shields underneath. So once I get up underneath there, you'll see what I'm talking about and showing you. So I've already kind of done one side with a good lower cooling tin that I had. And then I have this one right here. And this is on the passenger side. So it would bolt to the front of the engine, which would really be the transmission would be right here. And it basically redirects the air down and out, right? So this one right here would be on the passenger side, and there's a plate that would go right there. You would undo it so you could have access to the original thermostat that would be there. Since I don't have the thermostat and it never had the thermostat since I've had it, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. So, but what I have is I have the one piece. I do not have the rest of it, which is just a little piece that goes out to here. And then there's like a little tab guy that bolts onto the block, right? And this one is broke as well. So yeah, you can buy these new. Don't get me wrong, new, they're probably like 30, 40 bucks. But I can spend that 30, 40 bucks on something else that I may need versus buying just a couple tins, and one is good enough that it works, and this one just needs an extension put on here and then the tab to be put on, right? So I do have a piece of 18 gauge that was just kind of laying around. It was bent, but I kind of straightened it out. I did put a little bend in it to kind of match this bend on this side. So it would go kind of like that right there. And I am not 100% how long it's got to be. I haven't measured that yet, but just know that I'm probably just going to weld that to that right there. And Bob your uncle, it's done, right? So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to weld it on there, and then we're going to go up underneath there, and then I'm going to show you more of what I got going on. And you know, the Volkswagen videos, I don't know, for some reason aren't doing so well. But you know what? This is project stuff that I got to do. So, and this is what I'm doing. So we'll clean up the metal on both sides, and then we'll weld it to it. And then I'll bring you up underneath there. I got to make a tab over on that side. Yeah, easy peasy. So let's get this done. Okay, I'll show you what I got going on down there. Okay, guys, so you are on the ground looking up at what I'm looking at. So right here's a bolt hole right there, and then there's one right here. So the J tube, if you look on that side, you'll see the J tube, and then you'll see this 10. So this 10 was the one that I had complete. So the 10 bolts to to the case, and then the J tubes bolt to that 10 right there. This bolt right here was actually broken off, so I had to very slowly drill that out, and it does have an M5 on in there, just like all these are supposed to be. It's just that it's a through bolt, right? Okay, so this guy goes over here. This guy's going to go right there. So as you can see, this part to this part is the part that was missing, because right here is where the thermostat would go to run. How does that go again? I think it opens up the, you know what? It doesn't really matter right now. So right there is where the thermostat would go. That's why this plate would normally bolt in so you could get to it. So what I have to do is find the bolt. Oh, there we go. Right here, and then bolt that in. And then I should have drilled a bigger hole, so that would bolt right there, like that. And then here, it goes at a slant. So right here is where I'm marking it to put my other tab, is right there, is where it's got to go. So I'm going to cut this out and then put the tab in there, but it's got to go basically right there, right? And what that does is it shoots air down past the cylinders and out the back. So after I do this part, I will have to make another set of tins that kind of block off the J tube that comes this way, like that. So I'll get more into that after I get this settled out. I'll show you all that stuff. So it's a little bit of fabrication going on here. You know, if I can save one, why not, right? And I don't think anyone else would use this for anything. because it's missing and it's broken some tabs. And then we got some other things that we're going to be doing underneath here as well. So let's get that other tab made for this side, and then I will bring you back in after I get that to show you what else I have to make. Okay, so let me put you back down here. Right there. Slide up in here, and let's see if we did okay. Oh, there we go. Right there. That's going to need a through bolt because the hole is almost gone. With this one, yeah, right there. There we go. This one's pretty close to being almost gone. There we go. And there it is. So from nothing to something. So there is two bolts up here that's supposed to be bolted together to this, but unfortunately, with the motor in, it's very hard to get back there, those two bolts, and plus there's probably a half-inch gap back there. Without really just taking this engine out and going through all the tins like it should, I'm pretty much kind of at that whim, right, so to speak, of what it is. So when I took this J-tube off right here, let me see if I can move you back here a little bit. There we go. So my phone is laying on the ground. So when I took the J-tube off, the stud actually came out of the block and the nut stayed on. So I have to get these off, this one, and it's just on this side, but I would rather have to do this than have to deal with a broken stud, right? So I have to kind of get the J-tube put on, and then right here I need to make, whoops, sorry. Yeah. So right here I need to make, because this goes like that, basically. So I kind of have to block off the heat from this guy, from the J-tube. Let me get my hand up here. From the J-tube from going to the cylinders, right? So I kind of need to make a little piece right here. And honestly, I'm okay with just making a piece that goes like that, right? Because they do make industrial tins. They bolt here and they just kind of set up there in the same spot that these guys go, because there's supposed to be nuts on the other side of this to hold that. So probably what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to kind of make a piece. It just kind of goes like that. That's kind of what I'm going to do. But I have to get these studs off first and get the studs put back in so I can lay the J-tube up there to see how I'm going to do this. Right? Right. So we'll be back. All right, guys. So I had to dip out yesterday. So I got as far as making the piece I showed you up in there, and I made the tab. So we have a tab and the tab, and I put this piece in right here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add a piece right here just to kind of lengthen this out, because once it's in there, I need there's a hole here and then there was a hole here. That's where the J tube would bolt to, right there. So I'm going to have to kind of make a piece that goes just like that for the distance of it, right? And like I said before, this is a really beat up, crappy tin. So I have no problems hacking this up and making it work for what I need it to work for. So um, let's get into that real quick like. Oh, there we go. So yes, I know I could have spent 40 bucks, $10, $15 in shipping to get new pieces. Yes, I know I could run down to Fisher Buggy and get the new pieces for 80. But like I said, for what I'm doing, I'm saving money. I'm reusing the tins that would pretty much be useless for anybody else, right? And they're gonna work. So that's it, right? With that being said, I did call Fisher Buggy this morning, and I asked him if they had J-tube tins. So the J-tube tins basically block off the J tubes from the heat. Um, I asked him, I said, hey, do you have these things? And honestly, do I really need them? And he said, the guy at Fisher Buggy, which made me feel better, Tony down there, said, we don't have them, but we don't have them because you don't really need them. I was like, good enough for me. So I am not going to run the J-tube tins or industrial tins. If I do have a problem, then I'll probably revisit that. But if I do have a problem, it'll probably be to the point where I'm just going to pull the motor out and then fix all the tins at once. Because like I was saying, this is about, I don't know, a quarter of an inch to a half inch away from where it's supposed to bolt into. To get to those bolts, you have to go through the back of the fan shroud down and work it in there. With the bus, it's very difficult because of the fact that it has a short ceiling, right? So I've only got about this much room from the top of that engine cover to the actual engine shroud. So I can't really get down in there. I mean, I could if I really wanted to, I guess, but I guess I don't really want to. So I'm going to attach it with these guys right here. And then I'm going to mark my holes for the J-tube attachments. And yeah, and then we'll be done with that. I'm going to throw a little bit of black paint on these, just so it doesn't look like that and rust up real quick. So let me get up underneath there and let me get this all marked off and we'll go from there. Okay, so I fit it up in there. Right there is where the holes are. So I just welded the nuts on the back so I could just screw it up in. And yeah, I think that'll be fantastic for what I need. So I'm gonna let this cool down for a minute, and then I'm just gonna kind of clean it up, and then I'm gonna throw some black paint on it just so it doesn't look like that. And yeah, then we'll set it all up in there, and I'll show you how it looks. All right, guys. So I got her painted up. It's a satin. What did I use here? So I just had some of this laying around. from the 305 that I put in the Ford. So look at that. That's going to be perfect. All right, so we'll pop that up in there, and I'll bring you over here, see if I can lower this all down so you can see I did raise the vehicle up, up, up. So let's start back over there. All right, guys, so we are up underneath here. So this one right here, I had to very, very carefully drill it out so I could put a through bolt, because there's hardly anything left in this case to screw it into. I flattened that out, and then I ran my, it's like a little chamfer bit just to take the edge off this side, so this will go right in real easy. And yeah, so let's put this in. And then I'll just set the J-tube in. Like that. And that comes like that. And just kind of tap that down in there. And then let me line up these holes. There we go. Once I can see them. Okay. Oh, there's my other one. It's the thing. Everyone wants a lift until you're trying to do lift things. And then generally you can't get it tall enough. There we go. And there we go. So let me bring you down here and I'll show you. Here we are down here. Let me move this over here. So right back here, these are supposed to be bolted together. There and there. But unfortunately, there's a lot of, you can see I can put my finger right through there. So probably what I'll be doing is I'll just be using safety wire just to wire that up, to wire it closed. But we're not going to do that yet. So I've got the one on that side, and now I have the one on that side. Okay. So since I'm doing all this stuff down here, what we're going to do is I did buy a pair of bolt-on valve covers. So these ones right here, I don't know if the bales are loose or whatever, but they leak. So I'm trying to eliminate as much leaking oil as possible. And supposedly these are going to help. So let's get out from underneath there. So these are EMPI aluminum or EMPI valve covers. I'm not too excited about them being chromish. But you know, if you were to buy the ones that aren't chrome, they're actually more expensive. Um, so let me swap you around. So here they are. So basically you pop the valve covers off. You take one off at a time, and then you put these in, put the valve covers in, and then tighten it down. So we'll put you back over here. I'm going to pop the J-tube back off, and then we're going to try to get this in there so you can see it, and it's going to be awesome. So just little things that we're doing here to make this better. So before we do that, we're going to prepare these guys. So it came with cork gaskets. I do have from Wolfberg West rubber ones, but we'll go with the cork. So let me show you here. So what I already did do was I just cleaned them up with some brake cleaner, get all the stuff off it. But I'm going to put some of this aviation Forma gasket. This seems to be like the standard. So we'll put that on here and then on the cork gasket, and then we'll start taking the other ones off. So okay. So this is the first time I've ever had these valve covers off. So let's see how it looks up underneath there, I guess. So I may, while I'm doing this, I'm probably going to actually like adjust the valves maybe. I've seen how it's done, you know, on the internet. So let's see how we're gonna do this. All right, let me get that J-tube off. They look clean. So yeah, you can see it. Okay, well, let me bring in a little bit more. Okay, so the deal is that you take one off. Okay, so that's number one. That's number one right back here. So you take this little nut off one at a time. Yeah, so one at a time. As you take this off, then you put the other one back on, and then you do the same with that. So according to the book, it says to tighten them at 10 and then tighten them at 14. So my other wrench didn't seem, it has a 14 foot-pounds setting, but it didn't seem to click. So I grabbed the old trusty one and I put it at 14, or as close as I could think of as 14. And because anyway, so I retorqued them. So it's 10, then 14. And all that looks like brand new. Well, these heads look new. That's what I'm saying. It's like the whole motor has been rebuilt. I don't know, but it all looks good. It all looks good. Okay. So it comes with hardware, or the hardware that it comes with has like these little rubber gaskets. Make sure you put the rubber gaskets on. And let's put these guys up there. This is going to be great. Right there. Now, I am not a chrome guy, like I said, but there we go. But I didn't want to spend the extra $50. I guess that's my bad for ones that are not chrome. You know, if it really bothers me that much, I can just sand those down. All right. Now I don't want to over torque these. I don't even know what these are supposed to be torqued at, but we're just going to make them so they're snug. Oh, okay. So they do bottom out. Well, not bottom out, but there, right there, right there, and right there. All right. So these are either going to work or they won't. And if they don't work, we would have wished they would have. Because I do have to fire this up and let the oil heat up, because I am going to change the oil too. All right, look at that. Brand new chrome valve covers. Yay! Okay, so I'm going to get the other side caught up. We'll be right back. All right, guys, I got the other side caught up. I got the J-tube back installed on the passenger side, and I got the safety wire up so I could get these back in here because I cannot reach them from inside. So let me swap you around here and I'll show you this goodness. All right, so I've got the valve cover on that side now, all attached, and then the same on this side, and then the valve cover you saw me put on. So with the valve covers, it's not like I'm trying to be uber cool with those things. I'm just hoping those will stop the leak from the bottoms of the gaskets. And with the cooling tins, or with these guys right here, the lower cooling tins, this engine is air cooled, right? So if I don't have those and all the air is just going wherever it wants instead of directed out the back, it's kind of like having a radiator on a regular coolant type system and only filling the coolant up halfway, right? So hopefully now I've got it 3/4 almost full of coolant, meaning with all the shields. So hopefully it'll just shoot it all back. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire it up. I'm going to let it run for a little bit, and then we're just going to change the oil on it too while we're here. I did get a new strainer in. I don't know, I have not changed the oil in this since I've had it for a year and some change. So this is just something that I think we should do. So what I'm doing is, now there is a huge, let me put you on the stand here. Okay, So there is a huge debate on oil, what you should run in these things, what you shouldn't run in these things. Written on this little engine part in the back that you can actually remove, it says Havoline 30. So I'm thinking it's got 30 weight in it right now. So the biggest deal with the oil that you put into it, now this is just my opinion, because I'm sure someone will come in that are VW people and says, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. The oil debate out there is crazy. The biggest thing with these engines is the zinc. So these are flat tappet rockers. So the more zinc you have in there, supposedly, the better it lubricates all that. So and some people run like, what is it, 15 15W50 or something, the ZR1 racing oil with high zinc. I guess it's made for older cars that have flat tappet type rockers. I did a little search on that, and the minimum search that I did, and the zinc is 1,100 parts per million in that oil. So I guess it used to boast back in the day 1,400 parts per million, but now, given the research that I found, it's 1,100, approximately 1,100 parts per million. So I run Rotella T4 15W40. I run this in the 305, right? The old Chevy engine in there. And it's, I'm not doing high revs on it. So I don't know. There's some debate on, since it's diesel oil, that if you run high revs, like over 5,000 RPMs or something, it has a tendency of frothing or whatever. Do your own research on that one. But I am also going to be running it in the Volkswagen. So the Rotella T4, I'm running 1540 in it, or I will be. That way it keeps all my oil the same. Right, that's the only reason. But this has 1,200 parts per million of zinc. So it has a high zinc content. Some people run this, some people don't. Some people run the VR1 racing fuel oil because it says that it has high zinc. But so I'm going to end this rambling with, I'm going to do 15W40. It has 1,200 parts per million in the oil of zinc content. So that's what I'm going to run. So let me just kind of clean up my tools here. Let me lower it down. Let me fire it up. I still haven't set the idle. It still sits low for idle. Let's just get into that. Okay, so I have my timing light hooked up to this. The reason why I have the timing light hooked up to this is because it has the RPMs. So basically, I'm just using it as an RPM, as a tachometer. So I can adjust the screws. There's two screws, top one, big one, bottom one, idle air fuel, basically. So I want to adjust the top one. So it's about 1,000 RPMs. And maybe that'll help with my low oil light because it's like a 600 right now. It sounds really low, but we'll find out for sure. So let's fire this puppy up and see how it goes. So as of right now, it's running at 800 RPMs. So it's a lot higher than I thought. Wrong way. So there's 1,000. Yep. Let it warm up some more. So turning out bumps the idle. Let's see here. 7 degrees. So this is set. So when I put it at 7 degrees advanced, the top dead center lands right at the crack of the case. So to see where it's at, you're supposed to do like 3,000 RPMs and then set it at, or spin it up to 3,000 RPMs, 28 degrees advance, and then you turn up the RPMs to 3,000, and then you'll see if you're right for your advance. And I'll be doing this all again when I swap it out to the electronic distributor. But this heats it up so I can drain the oil. So it's set at 32 RPM, or 32 degrees, advanced timing at 3,000 RPM. Yep. Okay, so those heat shields down there, wow, I am getting a lot of heat thrown back at me. So I am, when you put your hands up against those new heat pink channels that I have back there, whoo, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So probably what I'll be doing now, it's hard for me to get in there because it's loud, but I want it to warm up. These, so now those are no longer needed. You know, they're not going into anywhere. They're just making, instead of redirecting the air down over the cylinders, it's pushing it out that way. So I will be blocking those off and then blocking those two plates up there because I no longer need them. And down the road, I do have a whole new fan shroud and all that stuff, but that's down the road when I pull the engine and do amazing things in that. But right now, we're just trying to get it better so we can drive it a little bit around town. Okay, so my RPMs are set at 1,000 RPMs. I know my timing is right with 7 degrees advance. When I bring it up to 3,000 RPMs, it's sitting at 32 degrees, which is a little bit higher than what I would prefer. But I think I'd rather have it at 28 degrees. But we'd have to loosen up that distributor bolt, and maybe we'll do that after we change the oil. But for right now, let's turn this thing off so we can get the oil draining. So I did opt, well, I had to get them anyway, but these are German gaskets, 2 of them with all the rings and stuff. And then I don't know what that screen looks like, but I did get a new screen, and it says it's for the bus. So we shall see. So let me just double check everything as far as like if my valve covers are leaking or not, and then we'll start draining the oil. All right, guys, so here it is. I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be just fine. Yep. Now the screen is a little different from the one I got. This screen has a big hole. That screen has a little hole. Let's take a peek. Well, pretty sure it'll work. This one's a little bent. So yeah, so that's the one we're going to use, obviously. So yeah. So I'm going to let that finish draining a lot more. I'm going to clean this up, and then it's going to be awesome. Okay, guys, so I just went in, had a little lunch, and then I put some of that aviation, the aviation gasket stuff on there, stuck it to there. This is the screen. So I'm going to put this on, and then I have the other gasket on the bottom plate, and I got all new little copper washers and a crush washer for the drain plug. So let me pop this on. Okay, guys, so it's filled up. You know, the problem that I'm having with this air filter is that it hits the carburetor right where the choke's at, but it has a little breather guy, you know, like the breather port in the back. Um, so I got this guy. This guy actually fits if you turn it sideways, like that. But the problem is it's got this little hole right here. So this is where that breather thing would go, right here. That's not going to work for me. Um, so I'm going to have to block that off. I mean, even right there, it still hits it a little. So let me block this off right here, this hole right here, and then I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to get something else for that little nipple part that's hanging off from the oil breather part, right? All right, we'll be right back. Hole's taken care of, so I just welded in a little piece. So let me get this on there like this, and this is just an inexpensive EMPI chrome cover. Now what I have heard, so I'm just going to pass on the knowledge to you. From the oil bath stock oil filter, obviously you don't have a lot of airflow. You have air flowing through, but not like the volume like this. So they say, or what I've heard, is that you should jet your carburetor bigger. So I do, when I got this carburetor, it did come with bigger jets, but you know, right now I'm okay with what we got going on. So these little clips just kind of go on here somehow. Supposedly. Yeah, just like that. So they just clip right on. So as you can see, right there is where it doesn't go flat. Even though they got a provision for it, it's not really deep enough. So what I'm going to have to do is go this way. It's not as bad as far as like it's not hitting as bad. So we'll put that on right there. The other one, this Pacific crap one, I had to bend the crap out of it and it would keep falling off. So that's what we're going to be using. We're going to use this guy, and then this little oil breather right here. I got to run and go get a little oil breather cap that'll fit over that, and then that will solve that problem without having to get, they sell like these big old oil cooler boxes that would go up there, but maybe down the road, maybe. But anyway, so let me put the clamp on here, tighten this up. I'll run and go get one of those guys, and then we'll fire it up. So I will be, like I said, closing these off so air is directed back down there, because these don't go to anything anymore, meaning like the heater boxes, which they didn't before. You know, they just kind of went nowhere. But I have to plug up some holes down here. But anyway, so let me get this all straightened, and we'll be back and fire her up. All right, guys. So what I did end up doing was I drilled a new hole in the back, put the PVC fitting back here because I blocked the hole over here, and then I ran my tube. I worm clamped it onto the PVC right there, and then it's down there, and it's clamped into place right there. So I think that's going to be more better, because the whole point is to pull the pressure out of the block. If I just have that kind of open with a little filter guy on it, I don't think it's going to work right. Like, it won't pull the pressure off. Okay, so we got that all done. Oil changed. The valve covers aren't leaking from before. So let's fire this thing back up, and see how it is. All right, so I hooked the timing light back up so we can check the RPMs again to see if I got that to stabilize. So let's fire it up. All right, guys. So we have it at 1,000 RPMs, idle, uh, and the oil pressure is sitting at 15 psi. So on first startup, it was almost 40, just like before. But now sitting there at that idle, that's great. So we're just going to let it sit here and run a little bit. I'm going to make sure that there's no oil leaks real quick. I'll turn it off and check the oil. So we'll be back after a while. So it's been about 15 minutes. Here's the idle. Let me show you this oil pressure. So let me swap you around. That's some good oil pressure right there. Nice. And then when I rev it up, it just needed a good oil change, right? Sure. That is awesome. Awesome. And those lower heat shields right there, man, you can feel the heat throw right off that. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. That makes me happy. So let me shut her down and then we'll be back. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap up this video. Front and rear bumpers painted, prepped and painted, and then doing the J-tubes over again, making the heat shields that I need, oil change, got the RPMs or the idle set, and oil pressure is amazing, I must say. That makes me very happy. Very happy. So, yeah, so that's going to be it for this video. But I will tell you that we'll probably be doing one more on this. Uh, I got to do the clutch and brake pedals. I got to get situated correctly, lay the front rubber floor mat up there, figure out what's going on with this one light with the brake like that. I don't think I'm ever going to get that back window in, ever. Uh, yeah, so there's that. Um, yeah, I think that's going to be great. And then what we'll probably do is after one more on this, then we'll get back on the Ford COE. I got some parts in and stuff like that. So we'll just have to play the switchy here. Possibly. Well, I know I'm going to go to Bug Jam. So we'll put maybe a little bit of footage of that. But that's in a couple, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that is Bug Jam. And like I said, it's right down the road from me, so why not? So anyway, thanks guys for watching another micro bus video here. These videos aren't doing the best, but it's something that I'm doing, and maybe someone out there, if they ever do a search for anything, maybe these kind of videos will help them out, right? Right. So again, guys, thank you, and hey, go out and build something cool, guys. One week at a time. Catch you on the next one. Bye.